Alright, I'm going to need you guys to help me with this. I'm going to need you guys to push on the left side of your screen, okay? Really, really push. I need to get these ships out here, okay? 1, 2, 3, go! Push your monitor. Push. Come on, we're almost there. There we go, there it is. I see it now. The new ship we're going to be looking at. This one's a little meta. We heard you like toy ships, so we made a toy ship of your toy ship. Isn't that neat? You see, it has a layer, like an onion. This is Archer's toy ship, featured in the first episode of Star Trek Enterprise, Broken Bow, and also in the episode Similitude, which I'm not going to spoil here, because it's freaking crazy. It's contemplative, it's scary, it's like TOS, or The Twilight Zone. Go watch it. Anyway, this is a ship that Captain Archer used to play with when he was a wee lad. If we take my Earth/Federation Starship tier list videos to heart, I considered at that time and now toy ships, quote unquote, that appear in the show to be based on real ships, real ships in Star Trek. So my idea here is that this was a real ship at one point, based on the real ship, Archer's toy ship, the remote controlled model toy. Archer would fly this around. Of course, a little fake warp core thing went in here. I suppose it was just kind of some anti-gravity toy, went into the center of the ship, and then you could control it that way. And it would float around, and the CGI would all look a little bit wonky in Broken Bow. Like when it landed, it looked a little bit, so-so. But here it is. A long-awaited model of mine. I loved it as soon as I saw it. And finally, Eaglemoss did it. And then I ended up with it after Eaglemoss was gone. Okay, here it is. This isn't a plain black bottom. It's not featureless. There is features. It would have been cool to get like a serpentine style finish on this. Kind of like a space shuttle. Tiles. This ship is ready for re-entry. But sadly, the nacelles are not. The bottom of the nacelles are not black. Shouldn't the bottom of these nacelles be black? So that they can re-enter the atmosphere too? Maybe the black bottom of this is just a holdover, right? Like it's not doing a violent re-entry. It's more like, we had this lifting body from an older ship. We stuck the nacelles on. It worked. Why change what's working? That's why we have the bottom like that. But I would think if we're using anti-gravity at this point, we wouldn't be doing a violent re-entry. We'd be landing like this, right? As opposed to, the whole bit with space shuttles and all that. This ship, if we look closely, if we look really close, we can see inside the cockpit, just barely, we can see that there is astronauts in there. In the show, they were painted, right? They were like not black. It would have been cool to see them painted orange, like how you would traditionally see it in a space shuttle era escape suit. But alas, they are not painted. They are the same plastic as the cockpit itself, meaning you can't really see it without the assistance of a flashlight, which sucks. Surface detail-wise, we're pretty good. It does look like it did in the show. That is, it did look like the toy. One thing you'll note, and the first thing I noted when I first opened this, see these nacelles? They're off axis. See? They're not straight. They're out that way, see? It's supposed to be that way. I went back and I watched a bit of the first episode of Star Trek Enterprise just to prepare for this video, and I couldn't notice nacelles being like that, but sometimes it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell sometimes, like on a 2D flat video, the exact configuration of ships, the way the alignments like this, like that, really sync up. Like sometimes there's problems. So I couldn't really tell, but the nacelles are pointing inward. Make of it what you will. For what I assume is slower than light engines, what do we have here? Aerospikes. Don't look like any aerospikes I ever saw, but they're there, whatever they are. We had a ship like this in real life. Had. It existed on paper and minorly existed in real life in the sense of parts where it were being built. Venture Star, I believe that was its full title. The successor to the space shuttle, which ended up never really being the case. It became actually the OV-165 that you can also see in the Star Trek Enterprise intro, that ship that's kind of docked to the space station and then kind of flies away. It kind of looks like this, but without the nacelles. You know the one if you see in the intro. There were some complications, I believe, with the propellant tanks. A futuristic lifting body like this had enormous tanks in it, like here and here. And due to confusion, it wouldn't work. there was some unforeseen complications, and it would have been cool if we had an interesting kind of lifting body fuselage design like this space shuttle, but it never really came to be. But it came to be on Star Trek. You know, it's just as good. It's just as good on TV as it is in real life, guys. Don't worry. But this is not that. This is Archer's toy ship. It would have been cool for this to have a real name. Like, it would have went really far into improving the believability of this toy if the toy ship had a name, like right here, like, just call it, what, I don't know, Atlantis. Just steal a shuttle name, anything. It would have been really neat, but it doesn't have it. As it stands right now, it's a toy of a toy. So is it really mimicking reality, or is it mimicking the toy? Or is it mimicking the reality that the toy was mimicking in the show? You see, it has layers, like I said, like an onion. But this one isn't making me cry. This one's cool. This one's believable as a toy somehow. Like, this is pretty neat. I wouldn't mind having a really big one. Like, do an XL one of this and really go overboard with it and invent a bunch of new details for it and give it a name and give it like heat tiles and stuff and then paint the inside accurately and make the astronauts like look real. That would have been freaking sick. But as it stands right now, this is what we got. And before anybody says, those wings are too small, how's that going to help it fly? Well, I've noticed that the faster you go, the less wing area you seem to need. So at the extreme speeds this ship is probably flying, that little wing probably does a lot of work. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's just an aerodynamic thing that I noticed. I'm happy with the detail, and the color looks right, which is not always the case with Eaglemoss ships. Eaglemoss, naughty, but this color is pretty good. The nacelles are colored pretty much like they are in the show. The finish, this white color, looks pretty much right. Black on the bottom. Hard to mess up, but I wouldn't put it past them. This is Archer's toy ship. It's heavy enough to feel like you're really getting something. It looks enough like a toy that it passes the sniff test. Visually, it appears to pretty closely mimic what I saw on the show in Broken Bow, and then again in the great episode Similitude, written by Manny Coto, directed by LeVar Burton. Very good job they did. Go watch that episode. So we're getting full marks here on mostly everything. I mean, don't take this as an endorsement of this ship being my favorite ship. But it might be one of the best models I've gotten. This one is going toe-to-toe with the... Oh, it's right here. This guy. It's going toe-to-toe with that. The Centaur. Just because of the accuracy, the weight, the fun factor, the gnarliness, how radical it is. I must say, I'm not disappointed in picking this one up. I do wonder, though, why before TOS we forgot about the spikes that were on the front of the nacelles. Why, like in my mind, before Star Trek Enterprise, all nacelles looked like that once we canonized the Cage Enterprise as being real in the, the menagerie and so forth, if you know your TOS stuff. I always thought that old nacelles had that point on the front, but they don't. In fact, it seems like the Phoenix launch in Star Trek First Contact really kind of set a new standard for how ancient Trek was supposed to look like, and Enterprise followed in that movie's footsteps, and then we ended up with this. Archer's toy ship. And now it's my toy ship. And maybe it can be yours too if you want to get it. Nacelles don't feel like they're very secure on there. They feel like they're going to fall off. Look at that. Not... Oh, the left one is strong. The right one's almost falling off. Look at that. That's the right one. Check out the left one. Sturdy. Don't like that. Metal, but it's suspicious. Metal, I think. Plastic. Oh, man. Look at that. What's going on here? Uh-oh, we're having an unrequested disassembly. I don't like that. It's okay, my model is coming apart. My model's coming apart, guys. I'm going to have to glue that back on or something. I don't like that, but it's not the end of the world. We're not going to dock it too many points. The hardest part of any unboxing is the stand. Archer's toy ship. That's what we're calling it. Right on the stand, even though I think the Wikipedia Memory Alpha calls it the remote controlled ship or something. Let's check out our little arm. Oh man, that's a really big one. That's a weird shaped peg for a stand for an Eaglemoss ship. If you have a lot of Eaglemoss ships, you'll immediately recognize that this is very wide. So let's just see how it fits on here, shall we? They let you do a little bit of guesswork here, so that you're kind of getting a little bit of game with it, right? I think that's right. It feels okay. Let's put it in our little hole. Archer's toy ship. Like I said, it would be freaking wild to get an XL version of this with lots of added details. But for what you're getting here, it does very well approximate what was seen on screen. Would have been really cool to have the cockpit painted correctly, like bright, and have the astronauts painted so that you could see them. They are in there. There is details in there. Trust me, you just can't see it unless you could when I looked at it with the flashlight. So that about wraps that up. And that's my final Star Trek Eaglemoss ship unboxing video for the foreseeable future, unless I end up getting another one. I had to take a break from buying these for a while for monetary reasons, but hopefully you can enjoy this video. I heard this stuff is good on everything, but is it true?